Welcome to part 2 of my conversation with Mikala Jamison. Thanks so much for listening to Busybody Podcast.
I think a lot about where I've come in terms of my relationship to my body and getting into exercise. It hasn't completely removed, because I always try to be honest about this. I don't think anything is like some magic bullet where I no longer have insecurities or I no longer have like worries about my body. Um, but when you say like a grandma making a compliment or something, I feel like what having this sense of embodiment does, even if it doesn't make you like impervious to body comments or your own, nasty thoughts that you might have now and again, I do think it steels you against them a little bit. It just makes it like hurt less, or you're like less tormented
Susceptible,
by it,
yeah.
I get. Yeah, like there just have been times when I've had, like a little sting about something to do with my body image, just because of a lifetime of,
Yeah.
internalizing weird ways I should feel about my body. But in the past, that it would have made me like spin out.
Totally.
Whereas now I'm like, eh, and then, you just kind of move on, because the stuff that you cultivate through getting in touch with your own body, learning to like speak its language, learning about your own values, all that stuff, they just become sort of like little bodyguards. Like
Mhm.
you don't the people that, might piss you off, or the messages that you might get, are still like trying to come in, and you might see them, but like you can kind of the bodyguards like bat it away.
And I think also something that has integrated for me is that I can, with certainty, be like, they're wrong also, you know?
Yeah.
And I think in the
Mhm.
past, if you don't have any experience of your body in different ways,
Yeah.
you wanna say that they're wrong, but it's like a much quieter voice, or it has like
Mhm.
less grounding. But like, for
Or you
instance,
believe them. Maybe you think they're
exactly,
right.
you
Right.
totally believe them, yeah.
Mhm.
And you're just wishing that you didn't. But like, having run half marathons, something that I
Mhm.
never ever thought that I would do,
Yeah.
um, uh, has definitely given me a different kind of body confidence, and I've been doing this work my whole life.
Mhm.
Um, and that I was even thinking, doing this recent dance intensive, um, there were all different bodies there, but of course there were little skinny bodies, because also there were people who were like not even finished college yet, like super young,
Mhm.
it's almost teenagers.
Right.
And I was like, a couple of years ago, that even would have been more triggering to me. I would have felt more self-conscious that, like, not only am I kind of one of the older people here, but like, and my leg doesn't go like this,
Mhm.
and like, I'm just looking different than these people. And also, when you're around people that maybe are younger and less mature, and you can tell that they're pretty hyper fixated on their own body,
Mhm.
they probably are judging you because they're
Yeah.
judging themselves so much, so you can kind of
Mhm.
feel that if you're
Right.
sensitive.
Right.
And I was like, "Yeah, you know what they don't know? I literally just went running for, like, 2.5 hours," which, let me
Right.
tell you, they can't do.
Right. Yeah.
And, like, you can feel this kind of armor of, like, you might think that I'm lazy, or I
Mhm.
this, or, like, make all kinds of whatever your judgment is. You're wrong, actually.
Right, right. Yeah, it
Um
feels very painful to feel, like, misunderstood in your
Mhm,
body.
mhm.
So, I think that is what a lot of people might walk into the gym feeling like.
Mhm,
If you feel that you are a very confident person in your career and in your, internal life and in your emotional world, and then you walk into the gym and it makes you feel honestly, like, kinda dumb,
mhm.
that's a really troubling feeling, because it's like the you that you think that you are is not the you that's, like, showing up in that space. So that you feel like everyone's looking at you, because
Mm,
you're kind of looking at you in this,
mhm,
like, "Oh,
mhm.
do you really belong here?" kind of way. And again, it goes, at least for me, it went away more quickly than I ever could have imagined.
Yeah.
And a big part of that, and I write about this in the book a lot, is feeling prepared. Like, it was really important for me to kind of become like a student of the gym. I mean, it's like such a nerdy thing, but this was, you know, I'm an anxious person, and I was very worried that I would walk into that space and, like, get it all wrong. So I felt like watching YouTube videos about how to do stuff
Totally.
and reading fitness books, and, like, I'm like, highlighting pages of, like, how to do a squat documents and stuff, and practicing in my kitchen, like with a broomstick on my back. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think everybody has to do that, but for me, putting in that time to learn about it and kind of understand exercise and watch videos and stuff, number one, it kind of made me feel like I was like investing the time up front in a way that I think it kind of made me stick with exercise longer because it's
Mhm.
like I was sort of training my mind that I was taking it seriously
Mm.
and I was preparing and I didn't, I already put in the time to learn it. So why not stick with actually doing it for a while? And also, I relate it a little bit to the live storytelling stuff I was talking about. People have asked me like, "Oh god, I could like never do that. It's so scary, public speaking." When you do live storytelling, you don't have notes. Like you have to memorize
Yeah.
like a 7-minute story sometimes. Um, it's all about like preparation. Like when I feel prepared, I'm like not worried about it. And
Mhm.
so the same thing applied for the gym. Like I just felt like for the next 3 weeks, I'm going to do this program I like researched and practiced and all this nerdy stuff. But if that's what it takes, it's what it takes. That might be where your confidence comes from at first. Now, I I can walk into the gym and just be like, "What do I feel like doing?" And then just like grab any, machine and
Mhm.
just do whatever the hell because I feel comfortable there. But that
Mhm.
comes from familiarity, you know?
An
That's why like
experience, yeah.
the sticking with it that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, like, that's where all, like, growth comes from, you just have to, like, stick with something uncomfortable for a little bit, you know?
Well, that's a beautiful point because most people, if they've reached adulthood, have done that in some
Mhm.
aspect of their
Right.
life, you know?
Yeah.
And it could be anything from an aspect of their career to an aspect of raising kids. I mean, how many people have literally read books about like
Yeah.
early childhood when they're
Mhm.
parenting and all those kinds of things? I'm not a parent, but like I see people
Right.
really deep dive in that, like on their spare time in
Yeah.
preparation for the
Same
child to be
thing.
born. Yeah. And
Mhm.
it's totally the same thing. And I think that because the body is so fraught, people
Mhm.
don't even realize they actually already have a skill to get
Right.
into this.
Right.
And I used that again when I started running because I also am somebody who has a terrible sense of direction and I prefer ironically, I prefer trail running, which means I'm running around in the woods by myself, which
Mhm.
is super stressful because I am the one who goes, I think I've been here before. And then I just
Right.
wander off into a path that I've not been before and now I'm lost.
You have to, like,
And
send
I,
up a signal flare an hour later, you
yeah,
got lost.
yeah, and some of the races that I run literally advertise that it's very low support, and so you
Mm.
have to really know the route because you can get lost. There's not gonna be people out there telling you to go down this path, and I'm always like, "Well, that's so scary for me." It never stops being scary for me because it's like a real risk that I'm just
Right.
terrible at directions. But I have done these baby steps backwards. So, like, the first time I started taking longer runs in the woods alone, the very first time I brought my dogs
Mhm.
because number 1, they are my companions. So now I'm not alone, and I
Right.
just feel and they'll have fun, and literally them having fun helps me not be anxious because I see that they're jumping
Yeah.
into a creek and, like, blah, 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 and so that's gonna make sure I don't get stuck in my head, you know?
Right.
And
Right.
then my boyfriend's very good at directions, so he showed me the map and, like,
Mhm.
literally was like, "You're gonna see this thing, and that means you go left there, and you're gonna see this," and, and
That's
I
so
was like,
sweet.
"Okay." Yeah, and that was, like, really helpful, and I had my phone and everything, but, um, it was all these things, and I remember, like, during it, the very first time I did this, I literally had panics at different times where I was like, "Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know where I'm going," but I but I was just I did all my things. I was like, "Hey, we already talked about it. When I see the footbridge, I go left. I did the footbridge, I
Mhm.
went left. That means I'm still on the right trail," all this stuff. And when I finished, it was such like, I was just like, "Oh my god, I did it."
Yeah.
And that built
Right.
confidence so that I could
Right.
do it again, and I could do it again with less of those supports
Mhm.
and or know which ones are key that I always have to do this, and that makes me feel secure. And then
Right.
you literally build experience, and then you
Exactly.
know that even also if things go badly, you've now built enough experience that you can, like,
Mhm.
back out of that, including literally in a gym situation. You can get on a piece of equipment and then realize, "Holy shit, I set this up all wrong, and I
Mhm.
cannot lift this," and but I know how to jump off of it and be like, "Oops."
Yeah, exactly. I do it all the time. I mean, humans don't like uncertainty. So what
Mhm.
we're talking about really is like we like to prepare so that we don't embarrass ourselves or get lost or get
Yeah.
hurt, like something legitimately bad doesn't happen. But I still have uncertainties in the gym that I'll never forget. It was only like, I don't know, 3 years ago maybe. I went down to Florida where my in-laws live, and my husband and my sister-in-law and I went to whatever gym she
Sure.
was going to there. And it was like a huge, I don't know, it was like an LA Fitness or something, a huge big box gym. And it just seemed to be the vibe there that it was like especially kind of like bodybuildery. Like everybody there was just like clearly like lived there and was really like dialed in because that's not always the case. And
Yeah.
I'm somebody who feels very like dialed into the gym, so I don't typically like run away from such a space, but it was a brand new gym to me. I'd never been there. It was very crowded and the crowd was like very obviously capable. And I felt like very nervous.
Mhm.
And I have been working out for more than a decade at this point, and I still had a minute where I was like, I don't know where, like, the machines are that I wanna use. Like, there's, like, 4 dudes on that bench that I wanna go to, like, it
Yeah.
still was kinda scary to be out of my normal context, and it sent me, flashing back to, like, the first time I ever set foot in a gym, and that's why I say, like, this whole concept of, like, the forever project, even this many years into feeling confident in the gym, I still had a moment of, like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I, like, I wanted to leave,
Yeah.
and I
100%.
love going to the gym,
Yeah.
but I had to kinda just like, hopped on a machine. This is, like, the exit strategy. Just get on an elliptical, get on a treadmill, a gym a machine that you know how to use, and I just kind of calmed down, and I was like, "Alright," going back to, like, your goals, right?
Mhm.
What do I want to do today? Just pick, like, 2 things I can do today. There's the squat rack, there's the whatever machine, that's what I'm doing. Like, you can just kind of center yourself
Yeah,
in the space,
reground.
regroup, ground yourself, and it'll be okay. It's just I say that to kinda demonstrate, I guess, like, it is a very weird thing to do when you think about it, to, like, walk into some huge crowded space and just stare at yourself in a mirror while you lift things. Like, as much as I love to do that and have, like, built a career on talking about it, it's weird. So,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
feel bad if you are weirded out the first time you ever go to do it. It's just that, what I try to make clear to people is get through that weirdness, and you might find that even if you don't love it to death, it freaks you out less, and you can at least
That's a
be
great
there.
point. It's 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 vulnerable, and it's
Yeah.
something that we talk about in the run club. It's vulnerable. Running is hilarious because you're outside very visibly doing
Right.
this thing for yourself. It's like we
Yeah.
don't meditate publicly, Some people
Mhm.
do, like out in the park or whatever, but you aren't going around going, like but
Yeah.
like you're out there running, you might be having any kind of day, including a
Mhm.
day where it just sucks and
Right.
you're out there just like on the struggle bus passing people on the street. And
Mhm.
my favorite thing is when I'm running trails and the upstate, the trails I run are crazy steep sometimes. And I will be running up a hill at just a snail's pace because the elevation's like this. I'm not a
Yeah.
fast runner anyway, working so hard. And some couple will be chatting and walking down the hill and they like don't acknowledge me at all. And sometimes I literally go, you could clap. So it's like, it's okay to acknowledge what is happening over here.
Tell me that I'm doing good. Oh my god, and if people do that, it's the best. Like, I know that there's this unspoken, like, don't talk to other people in the gym thing,
Yeah.
but I remember I was, like, hauling ass on a treadmill at some point. I was doing, like, little intervals. So, like, I would, like, jump up on, like, the sides to not run for, like, 30 seconds and then jump back on and, like, sprint as fast as I could. This was 12 years ago. I don't even know what the hell I was doing, but I was going crazy on this treadmill. And some guy came over to me when I was done, like, panting and heaving, and he just goes, "Good job. Like, really, I've been watching you and, oh, kudos to you." I was, like, so happy that this
Yeah,
man, like, said so like, you can be nice to other people in the gym.
exactly.
It's really fun to connect with other people in that way. And if they
And you
think you're
never
weird, who
know,
cares?
to an
Yeah.
earlier point, you never know who that's gonna come from.
Right.
And I mean, I sound like a cuckoo person yelling at strangers in the trails, but it's because most
I
people
love it.
do acknowledge you, and most
Yeah.
people, when you're especially when you're running uphill in those trails, most people will just be like, Good job, you got it," or
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
"Wow," or something, and, like, that's nice,
Yeah.
and, again, my favorite is there's often older people that are, like, walking with their walking sticks and stuff who will be like, "Wow, you get 'em, young lady," or something, and I'm like, "I love that you think I'm a young lady."
Right.
Like,
It
all
feels
the
aw
funny things.
Yeah, exactly, and I try to pass that on every now and then. Like, if I
Yeah,
see somebody in the gym that's, like, crushing it,
yeah,
I might breeze by and just give the old, like, head nod, or, like, just if their headphones are off or something, I'll be like, "Way to go," like, "Nice lift," or whatever. I
yeah,
think that the gym feels weird, like we said, and it is a very sort of solitary place sometimes. You have your headphones on, you're in your zone, nobody's looking at each other, everyone has this sort of, like, steely, presence about them. But it really can be a space where you connect with other people in a very
totally,
cool way, and that's been a big part of it for me, is feeling like it's a place that can be social or friendly or supportive. I mean, God, sometimes you're just having a shitty workout, a shitty day, and
totally.
to just have somebody come over to you and say, "Good job," it's like you wanna burst
Yeah,
into tears, you're so
or just,
grateful
like,
for it.
help you, put your
Yeah.
weight back or hand you
Mhm.
the weight or whatever in this very, like, peer way when you're just like, "Oh, I
Mhm.
do belong." Like, I didn't
Yeah.
even I was just, like,
Yeah.
in my own head, and then, like, Muscle Man was like, "You need these?" and, like, hands these
Yep.
dumbbells over, and you're like, "Oh."
And as a woman, this just made me think of it, like, I would say I can think of maybe 2 times in the entire history of going to gyms that a man did something, like, creepy to me in the gym. And maybe that I don't know how to stack that up against other people's experiences. I
Yeah,
certainly don't rule out that it happens. I hate that it happens to anyone, anywhere, at any time. But I do think, especially now that there are more women in the gym and there's just more cultural understanding for most people who are normal about how to, like, not be a creep in the gym, I would bet that you're not going to encounter as much, like, creepy guy shit as you might think. And I
yeah,
also have had experiences where men have come over to me and were just friendly and normal and cool. Like,
mhm.
like, a guy was just like, "What was that squat you just did? Good job." Like, that's great. I don't need to, like, never have anyone or any man speak to me in the gym. I think that that can be a really interesting way to feel like you, as a woman who has traditionally been, excluded from this space, having things like that happen can even further cement the idea that, like, the culture has changed. Like, we are all in this space together and, like, you belong in it, and that instills a lot of confidence too.
Same. I feel like what I've experienced, if there's anything negative about men, it's men that are taking up too much space. Like, literally,
Mhm.
they're being super loud. They're over there swearing while they're doing their bench presses and just being really aggressive in this, like, unnecessary look
Mhm.
at me
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, there's a fine line.
And I think what's interesting is often in those at those times, either that guy or those group of guys have kind of reputation, and then you're like, "Oh, everyone is annoyed by them," or
Mhm.
literally what people don't realize is, especially small gyms, which I would really encourage people, if you're looking to go to gym, like, don't go to LA Fitness and Equinox. Like, every town and city has, like, a local smaller
Mhm.
gym because they have a real strong culture, and usually the
Yeah.
person that runs the gym is just there, and
Right.
they will actually go over and tell people, "Hey, dude,
Right.
stop smashing your weights everywhere. Like, chill," you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I think people might not realize there is actually there's community and culture in all of these niches, and so,
Mhm.
like, usually there's someone who's kind of keeping the peace, including
Yeah.
someone to complain to if someone is
Right.
being a creep.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Um,
if somebody's a creep to you in the gym, like, run, don't walk to the front desk and be like,
yeah,
"Hey," they're not gonna put up with that shit because they don't want to destroy, like, their membership base by having somebody
exactly.
doing that.
Yeah, especially because smaller gyms actually care that they want people coming, whereas
Right.
Equinox's business model is like buy the membership and never come.
Exactly.
But,
Exactly.
like, your little, like, Joe's
Mhm.
weight room or something. Joe
Mhm.
wants people to come.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good pointer. Like, the one of the best gyms that I felt like I had kind of that community spirit with here in DC where I live, It's actually a CrossFit affiliate because when I got into that gym in 2020 because they were the only gym that was open and having outdoor workout. It wasn't even
Oh,
CrossFit
cool.
workouts. It was just like because nobody could be inside gyms, they were like, "We have some dumbbells, come work out with us on our lawn." And then I liked the people so much that I stayed there. And I have plenty of criticisms of CrossFit, but this gym I think was unique in that it was really, really, like, community centric and, like, really listened to the members about what they wanted, and, like, the instructors were, like, really good, and they were really concerned about, like, injury prevention and
Mhm, mhm,
they had a really good program for beginners, like, you couldn't even start doing the regular classes until you did this, like, 2-week long, "We're gonna teach you how to do all the movements"
mm,
thing. If you find a gym like that, I think that's
yeah.
the gold standard, and
That's
then
me.
y yeah, exactly, there you go. Because then you get a really good that's where so much confidence comes from the community aspect and also, like, gently bringing people into the fold as beginners, and that's how you get away from those gyms that are just like, "Here, go do, 30 clean and jerks in a row, and then now your shoulder's destroyed." Like,
Exactly.
it's hard to know what to look out for until you kinda, like, know what is bad, in a gym,
But I think
but
this is to our earlier point, don't outsource every single thing. If
yeah,
something
exactly.
seems sketchy to you, if something
Mhm.
seems like you're being forced to do something, if you literally said, "This hurts," and they're like, "You'll be fine," like,
Exactly.
if they
Yeah.
didn't modify something for you, if they said, "We'll just" here's a red flag for me. If you ask for a modification and they say, "We'll just skip this one," to me,
Mm,
that says they don't have a lot of knowledge, unless
that's
it's,
true.
like, legitimate, like, you have a plate in your ankle and you can't flex your ankle. Okay, skip
Mhm.
exercises that would force a flex
Right,
to your ankle if your ankle structurally cannot flex.
right.
But if you're just like, "My hip hurts when I do this," and they don't know how to address that,
Mhm.
that's a red flag that that person
Yeah,
maybe doesn't have enough knowledge for your body, and that a
that's a really
lot of
good point.
trainers
Mhm,
basically get taught on already high functioning bodies, and
mhm,
so they don't know what to do with someone who has back spasms, who regularly, gets frozen shoulder, like, and so that might mean doing more research to really find someone who can do
mhm,
that. And yeah, it's similar to just the environment of the gym. You might start at a gym and be like, okay, I've been here. I did what Michaela said. I've been here for like 6 weeks and it still feels like everyone stares at me and no one wants me here. Go to a
mhm.
different gym then. Maybe
Yeah.
that gym does just suck. Like
Yeah,
there are
there
places
are
that
b
just have
yeah,
like
there are bad
crap.
gyms.
Yeah.
Right, there are gy or not even bad, they might just be a gym that, like, the clientele leans toward people who are, I don't know, trying to become CrossFit competitors or
Right,
whatever, and
exactly.
the and that's not
And
the,
you
like,
are
level that
legitimately in the way, like, that's
yeah,
for real, like, I
sure.
mean, I do this speed class in the summer because it's free upstate where I go,
Mhm,
um, and because there's a certain part of me that, like, I enjoy tell me directions and I'll just do it, and so I
mhm.
like that it has these workouts, like, we show up and they're like, "We're gonna do 3 rounds of this," and I'm like, "Great," I kind of love putting my brain on this little train track. The
Yeah.
problem is it's a speed class and I'm not fast, and everyone else there's, like, multiple people that run 5-minute
Right,
miles, like,
right.
fast, fast, fast.
Mhm.
I'm slowing them down, 100%. I know they are not thrilled when I show up,
Right. So
and
that might just
I'm
not be the space for you,
yeah,
yeah.
and it basically isn't, and I'm just grown up enough or, like, have enough
Mhm,
confidence that I'm like, I don't mind being the odd one out here,
mhm,
and on some of the runs, if we do sometimes we do these, like, longer runs where we, like, loop back, I am so far behind everyone else.
mhm.
But I don't I'm just at a point where, like, I don't feel terrible about that, I actually just find it hilarious that they
Yeah.
think it's okay to say that because they also say that it's a open level class, and I'm like, "Just say that you have to run a
Yeah.
certain speed to join this class,"
Right.
because
It's alright. As long as you have options for the
exactly,
beginners too, who cares if you have
exactly,
fast people classes? Yeah.
exactly, but it's to understand the nuance, yeah, sometimes there are certain spaces that are really for different people that have different goals, and you really aren't gonna fit, so that doesn't mean it's something wrong about you, just find your people.
Right. And that's why it
Um,
comes down to, like, you just figure out what your goals are right now or what you wanna do right now. It might change, it doesn't have to be forever. Like, when I started getting really busy with some of the writing stuff I have to do right now, my workouts have become, like, if it doesn't happen first thing in the morning, it's not gonna happen. I need to just give myself the out on that. It's fine. Just go for a walk or something if I need to. I cannot bring the intensity and the focus to my workouts in a way that I used to.
Mhm.
And right now, that's all right because I have to be like sitting at my desk all day writing, and some days it's just not going to happen. But I can also think like, all right, well, when the book is done or when I get out of this really busy period or
Exactly.
whatever, maybe I want to, maybe I just crave like I'm going a little bit more balls to the wall now. And
Mhm.
I just kind of leave space for so long as I am physically capable, I can dive in and out of the ways that I want to exercise. I don't have to do the same thing forever.
I think that I mean, that's where the title of your book comes from, like, that is true consistency. It's something that
Right.
I'm always trying to explain to people, and definitely in the run club, because people have this idea that running is the person they see in their neighborhood who runs every day 6 miles no matter what,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, "I don't know what's going on with that person." I would suggest they're probably giving up other places of balance in their life, you
Well,
know?
right, that might be the case, right? Like, if they right now want if they're like, "I don't care about anything else right now. I'm
Yeah,
trying to go run a triathlon or whatever." Well, that's what they're doing right now. Their
exactly.
their values might be very different than yours. I went through this actually, this line of thinking. My sister-in-law, who I'm very close to, she's great. She is a professional bodybuilder, so she has periods where she's training for a show,
Exactly.
and I mean, that is next level, like locking in on the nutrition, on the sleep, on the diet, on the supplements, on the what she's a natural bodybuilder, so it's not like a steroid thing. So it's just like in the gym, this is your life. And
Mhm.
I think that's awesome whenever anybody commits to anything at that level, so long as it feels like healthy for them. Great, love it. I admire it. But that is not something that I could do, like, right now or maybe ever. So, it can be very easy to look at somebody whose capabilities or their physical look or whatever you think is quote unquote better than yours or you wish you could have it or whatever. I think that's a natural inclination. You see somebody that's super fast or super swole or whatever, and you go, "Oh, why am I not that?" Okay, well, if I wanted to look like that, I would have to do all the things that that person does, and that might not make any sense for my life. That's where
Yeah,
like the values like, do
exactly.
I want to get up at 3:30 a.m. to go work out for 2 hours before my kids get up and then only eat this bring, Tupperwares of chicken to a restaurant because I can't eat
Right.
anything. Like I don't I'm really not negging that stuff. If that's what you need to
Yeah.
do to win a show, great. I understand, but that's just at this point in my life, I don't wanna
So,
do
I mean,
it.
You're listening to Busybody Podcast, sponsored by Brooklyn Strength, my studio. Brooklyn Strength is a virtual fitness and wellness studio offering weekly drop in live virtual classes, monthly workshops, one to one private sessions with me or my teaching staff, as well as a whole host of self paced coaching courses in strength, stability, injury prevention, as well as Nourish Yourself, my course where you can really deep dive with me to create daily habits around food and movement that are sustainable and not misogynistic, fatphobic, or racist. Challenging, but we do it. If you would like to support this podcast, you can support Brooklyn Strength by signing up for our classes or supporting me via Substack with a subscription. Hope you're enjoying this show.
and it's something I think that people mistake when they're like, "Oh, I was working out every day or 3 times a week, and then I got sick, and then I didn't go back to it, and now I'm just not working out." And it's like, but just start with 10 minutes. Just start with a
Right.
walk around the block. You literally can build the muscle of just getting back to things
Mhm.
and embracing that you're gonna have these peaks and these dips of life where you're gonna have, like, a couple of months where you're like, wow, everything is just chill for me right now. And I'm able to
Mhm.
like really throw myself into being consistent with my workouts. And I'm achieving new things. I'm lifting more weights or I'm going further distances or whatever the stuff. And then you got family in town and you're traveling and it's the holidays. And before you know it, you're like, oh my God, I haven't done anything for 3 weeks. That's not a failure. That's just like you have a life and you didn't say
It
no to
happened.
all those things. And then
Yeah.
because you have developed some consistency in the past and in some base level of strength, also, people always think that when they take 2 weeks off, like, they're starting from 0, it's not true.
No.
Um, then you just start up again wherever that is, and that's
Mhm.
really where you're gonna just
Right.
essentially, your line is gonna go like this because
Mhm.
over time, you'll have worked up worked out or taken care of your body basically way more than you had if you had just stopped every time things got in the way. And the
Mhm.
people that you see, like you're saying, who are like incredibly consistent, it's because they literally have like this incredible hobby, interest, whatever,
Mhm.
passion.
Yeah.
So they're willing to just to put other things aside for that. I don't like to
Mhm.
work out when I'm on vacation. I do little movements so that I'm not in pain,
Yeah.
but like when I'm on vacation, I spend the whole day out doing stuff.
Mhm.
It's not of value to me to like
Right.
find a hotel with a gym and all this stuff. I'm like,
Right.
whatever, I'm on vacation for 10 days. I'll just lift weights when I'm home. Like, I don't, it just doesn't matter to me. Other people,
Right. They might.
they're
They
like,
might
"I
want
don't
to.
feel good unless I do
Mhm.
that because it's for my mental health," or it's like whatever, or they're competing, or they have
Mhm.
something coming up and they're like, "I actually can't take that time
Right.
off." Great, awesome. You did
Yeah.
it, you know?
I think a lot too, some this has felt very, like, freeing to me, actually. Even if, you know, somebody has, like, incredible capability. They run 6 miles every day, or they're a bodybuilder, they're this, they're that. They're always consistent. Even if they do have, like, the busiest life ever or the same difficult circumstances as you, and they're making it work, but you're not, and you go, "Well, what does that say about me?" Because, there is no excuse that, like, "Oh, they have more time in the day. We're both, like, really busy. Why can they do it and I can't?" Sometimes I just think some people are just built different. That's it.
Mhm,
Some people really do. They might be, quote, unquote, "better" at, "I'm just gonna white knuckle through my day and fit this shit in,"
mhm,
and they just, for whatever reason, find that more they're just better able to do that, and honestly, at this point, I saying that feels kinda just, like, freeing. Like,
mhm.
some people in this world have more talent than me, or have more money
Totally,
than me, or have more
totally.
whatever, and you know what? Whatever.
Yeah,
I can't, like, dwell on it. You have to just go back to it's kinda that, like, good for them, not for me thing. Like, "Okay,
yeah.
great, great. Maybe I feel envious, maybe I feel some kinda way about this." Have that all in your head and also go, "But whatever, let me focus on myself." You can I think people get really worried that they should never have any, like, iffy feelings about themselves or other people or their capabilities or comparison. Sometimes that stuff is gonna sneak in. Just let it sneak in, you're a human,
Yeah.
but then what happens next is just do the thing you were gonna do anyway, even if that, like, voice is ringing in your head. It'll go
And
away.
also, yeah, I think like it's the both and you can
Yeah,
be kind of intimidated by someone and also learn from them at the same time.
totally.
Like, and uh I've told people in my run club I have a secret arch nemesis when I'm running upstate because she once beat me by 6 seconds in our age group. And ever since then I'm like, I shall vanquish thee. Um
Sometimes a nemesis is I know it sounds it sounds kinda like, "Is this emotionally healthy?" I think having somebody that you kinda just wanna catch a little bit,
yeah.
if you're private about it and don't make it weird, like,
Yeah.
that's for
Oh, I
you
mean,
to have a
the whole
motivational thing in your head. I think that's
totally.
totally
I
okay.
mean, it's just competition, right?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think what's also, of course, what's hilarious is I see her now at so many races that we're now we're like chatty run friends, but
Mhm.
I always kind of crack up to myself because I'm like, little does she know, I want to crush her,
Right,
but
right,
but
exactly.
part of that is in my, like, semi-stalking of her on Strava and, like, wondering, "Oh, is she signed up for the next race?" Basically, all it means is that when I see her, it helps me dig in more because I
Yeah.
know that, like, of all the people, I can actually compete with one person in all these
Mhm.
people.
Yeah.
But she had a really bad summer, like summer before last or something. And we were chatting and things, and she was like, "Oh my God, I've just been working so hard. I've been training very much." And she ended up like puking through this one like 10K that
Mhm.
we did. I like saw her in the trail, kind of limping along. I was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" She was like, "Yeah, I think so." Later on, she was like, "Oh my God, no, I was not okay. I ended up like puking twice and basically crawling to the finish line." And I was
Oh.
like, "Oh my God, you poor thing." And like she had this really bad summer, and then the next summer, I had a really bad summer. I was
Mhm.
super overworked, I wasn't training enough. Every race that I did, I just was, like, struggling and felt terrible,
Mhm.
and I saw her out for a run, literally, like, smiling, running up this, crazy hard hill that's in
Yeah.
the little town, and
Mhm.
I instead of feeling, like, jealous or judgmental, I was like, "Oh my god, like, look at she looks great." And I'm so
Yeah.
happy for her. She's, like, literally shining. She's
Right.
smiling. She looks so strong. And it helped me see, like, "Oh, she had a bad summer. Now she's having a
Mhm.
good summer. I'm having a bad summer. I'll have a good summer." And it's like, you can take these little moments of, like, jealousy and
Yep.
judgment and also just learn from them that, like, she
Like,
stays
why do you yeah.
consistent.
Right.
She jumped back in, and, like,
Mhm.
I can too, and it's also part of why she's a faster runner than I am. But, like,
Mhm.
I
Right.
can also just learn from that and be like, "Look how she's just, like, back out there." Like, she didn't let that summer, like, take
Totally.
her out, you know?
And I've also observed that if I feel weird, if I feel, envious or it makes me feel some kinda nasty feelings about my body or my habits or whatever, when I look at someone else, I think that's a very normal human thing. Um, but I also think it usually, for me, it's about me, it's not about
Exactly.
them. It has something to do with how I feel about myself, and so if I can sit with that and go, "Okay, like, what's happening here?" Maybe what's happening is, like, I already have been feeling, kinda down in the dumps that I haven't been able to work out as much anymore, or I worry that my stress is, manifesting in, like, my relationship to food is weird, or, like, maybe I did gain weight in a way that feels, like, uncomfortable, or it was the result of binging or something. If that's already happening, somebody else's body is, making me feel uncomfortable because it's telling me
Exactly.
something about maybe how I'm not taking care of myself. Um, and so I don't think that means jump into fixing everything. I don't think that means beat yourself up. I think it can just be, it's just information. Okay,
Yeah.
now I know that maybe that's what's making me feel this way. And then you go from there with, like, the decision about whatever you may or may not want to do about it. I don't think I think that those kind of icky feelings that I try to write about with honesty when I can, the reason I do that is because I really think that they can be, like, teaching moments
100%. I
instead of
mean,
just, "Oh, bash these bad feelings down. You should never have bad feelings." Come on, we're always
I
gonna
think
have them.
that's kind of the dark side of, like, the body positive world, which now is
Mhm.
body neutral, but it's still all this kind of painting with a very broad brush that, like,
Yep.
we're not ever supposed to have bad feelings about our body. Now we're, like, accepting that, like, you don't always feel good about your body, but it's to me, there's still not enough just about how you can use that to be curious. And so,
Yes.
like, now I'm at a healed enough place with my body that when I notice that I'm gaining weight, instead of that immediately triggering like, "Ugh,"
Mhm.
like shame or self-hate or some kind of very reactive
Right.
response, I know, huh, I know personally in my body when I gain weight, it's usually because I'm super overworked and stressed and I'm not
Mhm.
doing other things in my life. So then I just
Yeah.
back up and I go, what's been going on? You know,
Mhm.
and then I start to just put those pillars back in place. And I
Yep.
don't worry, I don't weigh myself, I don't worry about if I just know this is just a sign that things are out of balance
And
and
maybe
my
it makes
body
you
is
work
just
on how you're overworking.
exactly.
You start
Exactly.
attacking the likely cause, not just, "I need to
Exactly.
lose weight right now." Yeah, exactly, that's the thing for me, like, if I've gone through periods where my weight's gone up or whatever, and I know it's because of, like, bad emotional stuff, okay, well, it's really the thing to work on here is not just, "Oh, let me, go on a cut or whatever, or change my calories." That could be a temporary, like, "fix," quote, unquote, I guess, but really what I need to look at is what have I taken on too much?
Exactly.
Am I doing the wrong things for what I need right now? Am I emotionally hurting and I haven't really been thinking about why? There's always something more to it. But yeah, I think that when
Even,
people Yeah, go ahead.
underlying health stuff. I mean, I've had
Yeah.
times in my life where I'm kind of taking on water weight, and I
Mhm,
thank God I know enough about the body that I'm like, "Well, my eating hasn't changed and my movement hasn't changed, and if I'm kind of expanding this
mhm,
quickly, this is weird."
mhm,
And, like, thankfully, I haven't just, like, swallowed every message and been like, "Oh, I'm in my 40s, it's perimenopause, and this is the end, and this is what my body looks like." And
mhm,
actually, like, gone out to be like, "What is going on? Somebody help me," and, like,
mhm,
figured out, like, "Oh, this and this is happening," and
mhm.
ta-da, like,
Yeah,
finding answers to those questions, and I think that's another place that if people are able to be more embodied and not always just turning to their body with, like, shame and, like, disgust of some kind, you can be curious and
yeah,
open to other answers and other pathways, which may or
exactly.
may not change your body, but, it's often our bodies are the effect of a multitude of things in our lives, environmental, social,
Mhm.
internal, external.
One of the most I don't know how to describe it. I guess positive for me, or best examples of what I feel like a kind of body neutrality is, was a point at which I had gained weight. I was feeling complicated about it, and I was looking back at just because I knew that I had been eating and drinking and not taking care of my emotional needs and stuff. And I there was a time in my life when I think I would have been more liable to, like, try to come up with all kinds of what I would feel are, like, excuses for that, like, because I couldn't deal with what to me felt like the shame of, "Oh, my body has gotten bigger," because of all the
Mhm.
messages I'd heard about why that's bad. And so I would want to externalize, like, all the reasons for that, except for the reason, which was, "Well, I'm just, you know, eating more calories than I'm burning." Like, that's the reason. Like, that's, like, the physical reason that that's
Right.
happening. What is the emotional layer behind that is another question. But it felt very, like, kind of neutral, I guess peaceful to be able to go, "Huh, why have I gained weight? Well, I've been eating and drinking more and not moving as much." Like, the end of
Mhm.
sentence. Like, that there's no judgment of that. That's just, like,
Yeah.
what happened. If there is any feeling of that being a negative for me in some way, what's the emotional issue behind that? Or how have I, like, not been taking care of myself? It's kind of, like, layered. I think that there was a time in my life where I didn't see any of this as, like, having to do with me somehow. It was like,
Mm,
the
mm,
universe is conspiring to, like, make me gain weight because 'cause I'm a bad person, and now
mm,
I look even worse to the people around me because nobody likes to look at someone that's gained weight. Like, there was all this, like,
mm.
fraught bullshit, and now it's a very simple kind of, like, cause and effect. In some cases, it's not always simple, of course, there's tons of reasons why people gain weight, but I can look at reasons why, or I can ask questions about reasons why my body is changing in any way, and then go, "Okay, so am I now in a place where I want to do something about that or not?" And maybe I can, and
Exactly.
maybe I can't. Like, point being, there's just so much question asking that we can do that we are not very good at doing because we were never told how to do
Mhm,
it. It
mhm.
literally was just like, if you feel weird about your body, go on a diet and then you'll be fixed forever, which of course is not how it works. But to really sit and, like, ask questions about your own body. I think a lot of people maybe don't wanna do it because it can feel very, like, self-indulgent, like, it can
Mm,
feel almost, like, superficial, like, you're
mhm,
sitting around and, like, thinking about your body all the time. It's not superficial to try to get in touch with the body that, like, is your home in this world. Like, your body is not irrelevant, and I used to think that it was, and that was the source of a lot of my pain and disordered eating and, just alienation from myself. So this idea of kind of always thinking about values or always asking questions about my body, it does not feel obsessive, it does not feel judgmental, it feels like just curious in a I like the idea of body curiosity more than I like the idea of body positivity or body neutrality. I
beautiful.
really like this giving yourself the chance to just kind of, like, look at it like you are, an interested observer and then start asking questions, and a lot of interesting truths can come from
Mhm,
intentionally doing that.
mhm. That's so beautiful. We could end there, but I also really wanna ask you about Lizzo.
Lizzo, please,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
Yeah.
just because you had it on one of your posts,
Yes,
and,
yes.
um, I actually think that the conversation around Lizzo really encapsulates a lot of the things that
Mm,
we've been talking about, and,
mhm.
I will share with you just what I think.
Yeah, please.
I haven't deep dived into the whole thing. I basically looked at her Instagram and then,
Mhm,
like, absorbed a little bit of the anger around her weight loss from
mhm,
various people in the fat activist community,
mhm,
and my instinct has been that Lizzo is very young, and she became incredibly powerful and famous and
mhm,
super wealthy, which is something that none of us can even really comprehend what that would be like,
mhm.
to be kind of the god of our world, like,
Right.
anything you desire, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And my gut feeling is that she has reached a place in her own just personal maturity, and of course, this is, can be interpreted as a judgment, where she's ready to engage with the things that we've been talking about. And we can only imagine what it's like to perform at the level she's performed, to tour, to have the kind of pressures that she's had, to have the kind of boundaries that she's had to figure out or not figure out, the to be used and abused like people are used in the entertainment industry,
Mhm.
to be a fat Black woman visibly, like
Right.
just all of the things that she's had to deal with. And whatever coping strategies she had to do all of that basically worked because she's alive and super successful and being creative in the way that she wants to. And
Mhm.
to me, it seemed like she's finally at this moment of peace. She's achieved what she wants to achieve from what it seems like,
Mhm.
where she can now just be like, do what you do, be curious, and
Mhm.
be like, is the way that I was eating, because she was vegan,
Mhm.
which I had always been like, are you getting enough of what you need to perform the way that you're performing,
Yeah. I'm
And
not gonna
like,
pretend to know enough about it, but I'm always kind of like, "Couldn't be me. I gotta have
yeah.
chicken," or whatever,
All I know is, like, when I was dancing a lot in school, I was, like, a dumb vegan college student, which
Mhm.
I'm saying dumb just because when you're in college, you are kind of a dumb.
Yeah,
So
you
I
just
was
will you'll try anything, yeah.
yeah, I was being a vegan from an incredibly uninformed place,
Mhm.
but, um unless you wanna really deep dive in doing a plant-based diet for high levels of activity, the way Lizzo's life is, the way a college student in a dance program is, you're just not gonna give yourself enough resources, and I immediately felt 80 billion times better when I started eating meat.
Mhm.
Um, and so it just seems to me like somewhere she got some different advice, someone else is
Mhm.
in her life, I don't know, that she's able to focus on these things, reevaluate, do some things that are more supportive for herself, the result being that her body is losing weight because she's supporting it in a different way. Is Lizzo ever gonna be skinny? I highly doubt that.
Right.
But she is becoming a smaller version of her body that's like, that she's happy with. And I applaud that because I applaud that journey, and
Mhm.
I'm happy to see that she just seems to feel engaged and empowered in a different way about caring for herself. That's kind of the message that I've been hearing. I
Mhm.
think for a lot of people in like a fat activist community, that feels really judgmental. Like everyone who's fat isn't caring for themselves. But
Right.
I'm just like, Lizzo lives in a world that none of us live in. And
Mhm.
like, I think she needs high level support. And it
Yeah.
seems to me like she's getting closer to that.
Right.
So,
My understanding of what has happened with Lizzo over the recent years, and this is weird because I just saw, like, last week or something, an article about this, and I might be getting it wrong because I don't have all the details. So, I think that she just said that she has been using a GLP-1 over
she
the
said
past. Did she say that?
she said she at first tried it, and
Okay.
then she stopped, and then she's been doing it just with diet and exercise.
Okay. So, there was a recent article, I don't even know where, but it the 10,000-foot view was kind of like the current moment in the return to, like, very obvious thinness worship and the GLP-1 stuff and everything. I have a hard time when people lump all these things together, and I won't dwell on this too much, but, like, to talk about the existence of weight loss medication as if that necessarily means that those things are just for or are causing a culture in which everyone wants to be skinny. I do not believe that that's what's happening. I think weight loss and thinness seeking are like not necessarily the same thing.
Mm,
And so in this article, there was like a very quick mention of Lizzo losing weight. And this is before she talked about whether she used GLP-1s or not. And it was nestled within other mentions of, like, skinny talk people and, like, the Kardashians' plastic surgery and, like, all kinds of, like, not necessarily related things.
mm.
So it mentions Lizzo, and I remember posting this on notes because I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, Lizzo, per what she's putting on the internet, has been exercising and changing what she eats for, like, 2 years
Yeah, it's been very gradual.
and seems to be making changes to her life that are concurrent with body fat loss and is still clearly a plus-sized woman. So why are you nestling her in as some kind of example of like the return to thinness worship in a super disordered way. If I were Lizzo and I read that, I would be like, what the hell? Why am I in it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I saw that and I was like, ugh. Then I saw that she said that she was doing GLP-1s. I have no problems with GLP-1s with caveat, caveat, caveat of like needs to be healthy for you, blah, 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 all the appropriate things. I think they're a tool that can help people in a lot of ways. Maybe we're in 10 years going to see all the ways they've harmed us. I don't know. I hope that's not what happens. But anyway, so I have no issue with Lizzo saying, like, I used this, except that it seemed like there was a point where she said people were accusing her of using GLP-1s, and it was kind of vague. She was like, "Oh, you lose some weight and you get the GLP-1 accusations," like facepalm, kind of to suggest like I'm not using them, so don't accuse me of it. And now she says she has been. I don't know what the timeline is here, but point being, I have no problem with like nobody has to say what they're doing, what they're using, what's going on with their bodies, even if they're posting stuff about like, it's me in the gym. Hey, I look different now, whatever. I do not feel owed, and I don't think anyone is
Hmm.
owed, like a deep, thorough explanation of exactly what they're doing. I don't. However, I think if you suggest that you're not using a medication, even in kind of a vague way, and then it turns out you were, yeah, I think that that's dishonest because, and I think it also increases the stigma about these things.
Exactly.
If there's no problem with using them and you think it's just a helpful tool and you believe that it gives you a boost to also be doing the exercise and also be doing the eating, which is like what people say happens to them, well then why not? If you're going to say anything, I don't know why you wouldn't also say that unless you
Yeah.
have a bias about you should be doing it like naturally or on your own, quote unquote, right? So that is the complication there for me. But what you said about her just in general, I cannot imagine what it would be like to be going through any kind of complications or issues with your body in public as a famous person, as a fat Black woman, like you said. I mean, there are moments in my life that I have felt so deeply just like hurt and damaged and screwed up about my body. Imagining doing that and then people, like, writing about it in articles or, like, posting
Oh my
pictures of me,
God. Yeah.
having the entire internet talk these people are, like, the most emotionally strong people alive for being able to continue on. Like, it's really crazy to me to
Yeah.
imagine that. So but I also think I wrote a post, like, the first year I wrote Body Type about, like, celebrities and famous people cannot be body image icons, I think, because they are just in a totally different world than us. I don't like to do this thing where it's like celebrities are not like humans. Like, of course they are, but the context that they live in, the motivations they have, the agendas they might have, the resources that they have, I
Yeah.
don't think like we can't like transmute our body stuff onto them because it's just too different. So, like, whatever Lizzo is doing with her body, I don't like the dishonesty, like I spoke about, but I don't know. I have a lot of sympathy, I guess, for famous people who want to live in a less fat body. And I can understand why maybe people don't like that I say that. But I just think that any of us who have been in a fat body, and while we know that there's nothing inherently wrong with that, and that doesn't suggest some kind of like moral failing on our part. We know how it is to be that in a culture that doesn't like it. And if you are like an icon of that culture, I can't imagine how hard it is to have a body like that in public as a famous person. And so I understand the human um like temptation to not have a body like that anymore. I'm not saying that that's like morally correct or you know, um, just, right in any way, but I do understand it. And that's, I think, what I try to be honest about in my work. Like, I don't have to think it's right or morally, correct or morally upstanding or whatever, but I can like understand it. And I just kind of think that like more understanding of why people make the decisions they make about their body is just kind of like what we need. It's like when we see the like conversations about body positive influencers losing weight, like when Remy Bader lost weight. I wrote a piece about that, or I was quoted in a piece about that for Vox. Like, I get why people are upset, but I also think like empathy for why somebody might choose to change their body, I kind of think is needed. Even if their reason is, I want to be skinny and I'm going to like starve myself. Of course, I'm not in support of that. But if someone is doing that, it's because they're very hurt and they're not engaging with their body correctly, and I feel sad for them, and I would want them to get help. So, like, fury at them does not feel like where I wanna go.
Right.
It feels more like, I hate that this is what you think you have to do, and maybe let's talk about, like, why anyone feels that they have to do that versus, like, yelling at them for not being plus size forever. Like, I don't think anyone, like, owes their fans that. I don't. But
That's
that might be
beautifully
me.
said.
I'm coming from a place of not being a plus size person, so I totally understand, that I have a different take on this. I understand how it might hurt to have somebody that you look at as kind of a role model change, and I think you can hold that and also hold, like, they have bodily autonomy, and there are many reasons why they might do that, you know?
Yeah, beautifully said. I think that's a place again to take curiosity like you spoke about, um, and realize this person might have been a role model for me and now they're changing. It doesn't change the fact that for a time they were a really visible representation that was similar to my own body or my own way of being in the world to some extent.
Mhm.
And it doesn't take away from the fact that they have been celebrated at that time of their life in that body. When I was younger, it was like, thank God, the moment of like J-Lo and big booties because I have a very round, high butt, which is not how most white women's bodies are,
Mhm.
and it really was helpful to
Yeah.
see someone like her be celebrated for having a body type that was similar to mine. Do I look like J-Lo? No. But
Yeah.
but she wasn't
There's an
Gwyneth
essence.
Paltrow, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, she
exactly.
wasn't Gwyneth Paltrow, and if I had been raised in, like, a moment, like a Twiggy moment, that would
Mhm.
be very challenging, and thank
Yeah.
God I had J-Lo on my locker and, like, everyone being obsessed about her butt,
Right.
um, and that was yeah, that I'm sure informed my own, perception of my own body. If J-Lo all of a sudden did, like, liposuction and tried to get rid of her butt, that would feel like a betrayal and, like, heartbreaking to me,
Mm.
but I also would be like, "And she was cast in a million movies and was seen as, like, this, beautiful goddess for all these years." That doesn't take away from that, in
Mhm.
terms of my own experience or the way that I can see my body. Also, obviously, this all comes back to people really using the outside to inform us, but this is also
Yeah.
the world that we live in,
Yeah.
and so if it's gonna happen, as you say, not pinning everything on this person and
Right.
forgetting that they live in their own body and their own world, in a way
Exactly.
that we don't know what it's like to live Lizzo's life.
And the J.Lo example is a good one, I think, of, like, bodies. It's very unfortunate, but it's very true that body shapes and sizes trend, and
Mhm,
I believe I have kind of made my peace with it, I think, because 'cause I've had to. I assume that things are just gonna trend in and out for the rest
mhm,
of my life, because
totally.
if you look at the long timeline of body shapes and sizes, it's like you have the flapper look, and then you have the Marilyn
Mhm,
Monroe look, and then you go back to the Twiggy look, and then you go to the Jane Fonda look, and then the Kardashians, and now we're back to skinny Kate Moss. I just assume it's always gonna be this way, and
exactly.
that sucks, like, I wish it wasn't, and I can see how much how troubling it is for people, but I also think that I have no choice but to just kinda, like, tap out of it. Like, I
Mhm,
right now, like, yeah, I don't think the desire for thinness ever went away. I think that the mainstream body positivity movement made different types of bodies more visible, but all of that thinness stuff, I think was still, like, underneath, and now the body positivity stuff in the mainstream is kinda just, like, fallen away, so we're seeing, like, that thinness obsession
totally.
layer again. I would not be surprised if that goes away again in a few
Oh,
years.
100%.
Like,
I
I think it's just always gonna be. I mean, actually, I will amend that. with the weight loss drugs, I actually, that does throw a wrench into some things. I think we're in for like a perhaps a big change in how we talk about bodies if suddenly you have the ability for a lot of people to no longer be in big bodies, but we'll set that aside for now. I still assume like women looking more muscular is trending. That'll probably go away. Like thinness will come back. Like the Kate Moss look will come back. Like I just assume that's always going to happen. And so the only way I can feel good is to just go, well, I kind of know how my body is. There is no world in which I ever look like Twiggy
Yeah,
body.
I mean, at the end of the
Like
day,
that.
none of us look like any of these people, you know what I mean?
Well,
Kate
right.
Moss looks like Kate Moss. I don't know anyone else that looks like Kate Moss, you know?
Yeah. Like I just, and I think also getting into exercise has been a cool way to see like what is possible for my body. Like again, at a time when I was, pretty lean. Um, I I just keep going back to like the thigh gap example because it was like a stupid thing in my youth that anybody cared about. I I would that just, like, would never, ever happen to my body
Mhm.
because my hips are really narrow and, like, I carry muscle and weight in my like, I
Yeah.
would have to be on the verge of death for that to happen to me. And so once you kind of see, like, "Huh, all right, well, I'm somebody that carries more muscle in this part of my body and not that part," or when I'm heavier, the fat goes here or there, otherwise it kind of again, it's just information. It becomes less, like, fraught and more just, "Oh, okay, well, it would take surgery in,
Right.
in the tens or hundreds of $1,000s for me to look that way. So just I don't care. I don't care anymore because 'cause I'm not gonna pay that, so and I don't want it. So you just kinda
Yeah.
let it go. Once you learn what your body really is probably always gonna look like, it actually is it's really nice. You just kinda stop caring after a while to change it in, like of course, you can,
Dramatic.
shrink and expand your but, like, the general, like, shape of your body and your genetics are, like, fixed pretty much, and once you just become okay with that, I don't know, it's really nice. It just is.
I literally did a whole reel about that and it went crazy viral. I mean,
Oh, good.
that's that is a wonderful place to finish our conversation because I think that's what you're talking about, the body confidence that you can develop by engaging with your body physically cuts all this noise. It's so
Mhm.
much what I teach as well. I mean, I literally try to teach people literally how their bodies work, like where pain comes from, why is this hurting, like blah blah blah, like your hip flexors get tight because of this, like so that it's not always this chaos of noise and like clickbait of like your flat belly tea or the one thing to stop your back pain or whatever, and so that you can actually truly stand on your own two feet and be like,
Mhm.
this is what I know about my body. And that's it. Like
Yeah.
who cares what Lizzo's doing? I also think that the GLPs are gonna create a different kind of backlash. I just feel like if
Mhm.
we're whatever extreme is gonna be a different
It's yeah,
extreme, and so
exactly.
I also just, like, check out of the whole thing because I don't body diversity is not gonna go away because of exactly what you just said. You
Yeah.
cannot change someone's bone structure, you can't make someone taller or shorter. I mean, you could if you wanna do crazy bone lengthening surgery, but,
Right.
like, there's a point
Yeah,
where
that's
that's just
fringe stuff, yeah.
yeah, it just gets more and more bananas and, like, good for the Kardashians' mom that she changed like, whatever. It's just like no one else is doing that.
Right, right.
And so, yeah, I think that the more you literally engage with your body and it can be questioning and in tune with yourself and get the real support that you need and surround yourself with the communities that allow you to feel comfortable and in that space in your body,
Mhm.
all this stuff just becomes noise that just
Right.
dissipates.
And, like, the first step, I think, is like giving yourself the opportunity to see your body as a thing that you can be curious about, ask questions about, and like relate to. Like I for so long I kind of felt like my body was just this like entity outside myself. Like I was just this like floating head in a jar and my body was like over here because everything about my body felt painful to me. So I wanted
Mhm,
to be away
mhm,
from
mhm,
it. If you can kind of think of it as not an adversary, but like it's you, like it is you. It doesn't have to be
mhm.
the defining part of you. It doesn't have to be the most interesting or attractive part of you, but like it is you. And there's a way to find like harmony with it. And I think my kind of soapboxy thing is that physical movement just feels like a really efficient shortcut to like starting that conversation because it's just immediate feedback, whether it's meditation or walking or running or hiking or yoga, like whatever it is. Like you said earlier, learning to drive. As soon as you do something, it's like it's cause and effect. Your
Yeah.
body's going to feel it. You're going to think something about it. It's just kind of like what we're wired to do. So like it's going back to basics. Just move a little bit in some way that you can tolerate, and you will start to feel your body more, and you will start to feel inclined to wonder more about it and ask more about it. And that, for me, I mean, in many ways, I feel like that kind of like saved my life because it saved me from perhaps not literally, ending my life because I was a binge drinker or a binge eater or whatever, but it saved me from a life of like hating my body forever. And that's like a fate worse than death in my mind because
Yeah.
it's so lonely to just always be fighting with your own body. And so if movement can be a way to like just make that to just dial down the intensity of that idea of struggle, that's why I am so into it. Not because, oh, it's going to make you look snatched on the beach or whatever. If you want that too, great, go for it. But the main thing is like you just calm down about the body bullshit. It just really, really, really helps.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for this conversation. It was so nice to get to know you like this.
You too. I mean, we could talk for another
Seriously.
3 days. This was really great. Thank you so much for the conversation.
Thank you. I'm Cadence Debuse. That was Busybody Podcast. I'm the founder and owner of Brooklyn Strength Studios. You can find me on Instagram at Brooklyn Strength. You can find out more about my offerings on my website, brooklynstrength.com. I hope you'll subscribe to my Substack after class. All is in the show notes. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Please share with your friends so that more people listen to this podcast. I love these conversations, and I hope more people can hear them. My music is by Rob Byrne, performed by the Wild Yaks. My podcast is produced by Brad at Train Sound Studios, and my illustrations are by Jackie Mendez and Azul Trejo, and edited by myself. Thank you so much.